Hello, I am Fernanda Paiva from Hitchhiking Stars. Welcome. And we're going to be talking about the astrological transits for this week. So, from the 31st of March until next Friday. So, I think next Friday is the 7th of April. So, what we're going to be talking today is the full moon. So, we're going to have full moon this week. Another big configuration, big astrological configuration, which resonates with what I was talking about in the previous video as well, and also an ingress, so a planet shifting into a new sign as well. So all of this will be happening this week. But before that, as a little catch up, which I really am enjoying doing this here. So just being a little bit more real, telling a little bit about my journey with it and what's happening as well, like within astrological transits in relation to personal life. That is my personal life. Um, so again, you can see there is a very different background here from before. I am not in the Lake District anymore. I am in Azores now. So I am in Azores in Portugal. So an island right in the middle of Atlantic. I'm in a hotel room. So that's really nice actually to be in a hotel room for a change. So from like house sitting and visiting people and all the other places I was staying before. So very nice hotel. And I am here because I am going to be giving a workshop at an astrology conference. So a Portuguese International Astrology Conference. And I'll be giving a workshop about relationship astrology. So it'll be all about advanced, astrological techniques for relationship and compatibility, mainly focused on how to interpret that rather than on calculations and things like that. But anyhow, so I'm here in this hotel room. That's very nice, but I feel knackered. I am extremely tired. Um, as I said before, I am having a Saturn transit. So Saturn in Pisces, opposite my Mercury, opposite my Sun, square my Mars, which is the ruler of my sixth house. So there's a lot of like health and energy levels as well. That's kind of connected to that. So if you're having a Saturn transit to your ascendant on your first house, or to the ruler of your sixth house, or the sixth house itself, there's usually a kind of a lack of energy, or like a feeling of, this a feeling of not having enough energy to do all the things you want to do. And there is a reason for it. So again, we're here in this channel to talk about astrology for empowerment and growth. So astrology for growth rather than astrology for moaning. So I'm not here, moaning about the Saturn transit, but just saying that this is usually what's happening because we need to select. I think part of the process of maturation and becoming older is that you need to select. You don't have all of the energy in the world or all the possibilities in the world. You kind of have to choose something. You have to make choices, commit to it, and go for it. So I think partly, the health is also a reflection of how much energy I have and how I am spreading myself thin potentially, and not really focusing on the truly important things, or like giving the right base and the right container for me to use my energy at the moment. So yeah, so lots of realizations around that. Doing my best, with all of this and now the travels as well. I have been traveling, and in fact, the name Hitchhiking Stars came from, a lot of traveling. Um, but I think I'm reaching a point where I don't want to do it as much. So, sounds like living a dream, but it's taking a lot of energy, a lot of my focus. Even like just the bureaucracy of everything, my flights were delayed, especially the one from London. So from London to Lisbon, my flights were delayed and they took ages. And so I arrived like 4 in the morning almost. I am an early riser. I don't like to sleep very late. So that was also incredibly disruptive and tiring. But here I am right now. So I'm in Azores. Let's make the most of it. I want to see around. And as far as I could see, this is a really beautiful place. I'm in Ponta Delgada, very picturesque. That's the words that I keep thinking about. Um, so I really want to see around and, and have a little rest as well. I want to have a little rest, have a little bath, and yeah, and have a bit of restorative time. So let me know how you're feeling. Write down in the comments, and know that whatever you write in the comments and whatever you share there with me, I will be replying. I always reply to my comments, and I really like that sort of interaction. Now I am going to do what I usually do. So I'm going to share my screen so we can move on and talk about all things astrology related for this week. So what's going to be going on for this week as promised. So here is the chart for today. Is a little bit behind. It's not really the time that's today, but there is a reason for that. I just left the exact time for the full moon, so I don't need to try and search for the full moon when we get to the day of the full moon. So for today, I think one of the main things really that I want to talk about, which is one of the main configurations for this week, is that grand trine in water. So we still have that grand trine in water. Remember last week I talked about it as well. So Mars at 2 degrees Cancer, trine that Saturn. In fact, that's an exact trine that we had earlier today. And overnight, there was this exact trine between the two, and trine the south node as well in Scorpio. So that Mars rules that south node in Scorpio as well. So I really feel that there's a lot of healing. Again, repeating a little bit of recapping a little bit what I was saying last week. There's a lot of emotional healing, emotional identification. It's like we are identifying emotionally what makes us tick. Or what we're ready to let go of, or we might be feeling more emotional as well, more in touch with our emotions. I certainly felt more sensitive during this week. Cried more as well, like had my period as well. So I think that's also partly why I felt, a lot of these energies, or how I felt a lot of these energies in my life. But a lot of potentials there. So like I said, April has as a keyword healing as one of the keywords for the astrology of April. And I feel that this grand trine formating now in the end of March, and also the beginning this week, beginning of April, is really reflecting that. So the south node, Saturn, Mars, Saturn in Pisces as well, telling us to take our emotions seriously, take our spiritual practices seriously, our transcendence as well. So transcending old emotions, old ways of doing things, that's Mars as well, and so on. And also obviously, because the nodes, they work as an axis, that north node in Taurus is also involved, and that could be considered a kite. So we got the triangle from the grand trine, and we've got a smaller triangle here, which is a sextile from Saturn to the north node, and a sextile from Mars to the north node as well. And I really feel that there is something there, again, like reflective of this moment, in terms of going after more stability in our lives, and learning a little bit more about stability and being stable, learning more about our values as well in the process, taking our values more seriously, expressing our values in our lives a little bit more. I think all of that is reflected in this big kite configuration in the sky that's going to be there for us, and that's going to be reactivated by Mercury a little bit in the future. And I think that Mercury will give us more food for thought, because that's what Mercury represents, right? So Mercury is about the intellect, it's about how we think, it's about ideas. And so we'll become more intellectually aware of these healings and the potentials for that healing that's taking place. We had also Moon Pluto opposition today, a lot earlier, and sort of involved the nodes as well. So kind of some potential intense emotions there. I mean, I was flying. I definitely had some intense emotions. I don't know about you, but I really dislike flying. And I flew so many times because I've moved around so much, and I don't get used to it. I tried, but I just really don't like. I think because I'm a Virgo, I really like my feet on the ground. Don't take me up anywhere. Like, I really dislike that feeling of not having control, or But anyhow, okay, so off of the intense emotions, let's move on. So this is tomorrow, the 1st of April. This is when I'm giving my talk, by the way. And we have that Sun at 11 Aries trine my midheaven, which I'm kind of looking forward to that configuration as well. you can see here, I mean, ignore this blue triangle because this is specific to Bristol at that time because it involves the midheaven, so don't worry about that blue. But the kite's still there, you see. So Mars would have moved to 3 degrees and it would go for an exact trine to the south node. So still applying, this kite and this grand trine that I talked about already last week, it's still applying, it's still there. The energy is still there. It's like a little portal that will take longer because Mars takes longer to move, Saturn takes longer to move, so that configuration will stay there for a little longer. So it is like a little window that's being opened. And in fact, I think because it's the week of the full moon as well, that's bound to be even more like it's bound to be intensified. These energies will be intensified on like how we can see the things that we need to move, that we need to change, that we need to let go of. So find the houses where the water signs are in your chart, especially the early degrees of it, so 3, 4 degrees, because that grand trend, that kite specifically activating that point. So where can you heal a little bit further? Where can you bring that sense of healing a little bit more and become more aware of what your needs are, what your emotional needs are, what are your needs for connection as well, emotional connection, and what are the obstacles? What's preventing you from achieving that as well? So this is a week where you can, still have a lot of insights about that. Okay. That configuration is still very, very powerfully placed. And you will see for the whole week as I move, it will be there. It'll still be there. All right. So yeah, so let's keep going. 3rd of April, that's an interesting day because that's the second configuration, astrological configuration I said I was going to talk about, and that's Mercury's ingress into Taurus. So Mercury moved to Taurus on Monday, the 3rd. So from Aries to Taurus, so we're going to move again, like from action, thinking about action plans, action, taking action, or, thinking about ourselves as well, being a bit more self-absorbed, potentially. We're going to move into Taurus. And again, that's going to be activating the grand trine / kite placement because it will conjoin that north node eventually, and it will also sextile Saturn and sextile Mars as well. So again, it's like our minds are going to follow the process. I think for last week and this week, until Mercury moves into Taurus, we're sort of feeling more intuitively what's happening. We're sort of moving with the flow of the water a little bit more. And when Mercury moves into Taurus, we're going to be able to think about that more, to see it more clearly, and especially with the full moon, which is usually what happens. This is kind of a spotlight into situations, into, things that are happening in our lives that we're ready to acknowledge some kind of combination, right? As I've said so many times. So I think that Mercury moving into Taurus will shed even more light, intellectually speaking, into our values. Are we doing things that are based on our values? Are we betraying ourselves? Yeah. How much are we taking into account ourselves and our own needs as well, and communicating those needs as well, and those emotional needs, especially with the water. And essential needs that bring security as well, because that's the Taurus in the picture. All right. So the 4th of April, we also have Sun Chiron conjunction. And in fact, that's going to be part of the signature of this full moon as well. So here we have, see, Mercury's already at 0 Taurus and getting involved in that grand trine kite configuration. But I really want to look, 15 degrees Aries, that's the exact conjunction on the 5th of April. So Thursday, is that Thursday? No, it's Wednesday. So Wednesday, the 5th of April, we've got the Sun Chiron very, very close together there. And again, the sun putting a very strong light on that sense of wounds, the sense of wounding. Jupiter was conjoined that Chiron before. So I really feel it's a continuation of a process there with that Sun Chiron. But for these couple of days, we might be really aware of like a lack of autonomy or an exacerbation in the autonomy or the need for autonomy. Being independent can be a defense mechanism as well that is preventing you from forming a connection with somebody, so the sense of like, oh, I need to be on my own, I need to do things by myself, I can't ask for help, I can't let anyone help me, etc., could be part of the theme that comes up, that becomes more obvious to us. But it's an interesting week. And here we have the full moon. Now, this full moon is very interesting because we have the Chiron. So we have Chiron conjoin that sun. We also have Mercury conjoin that north node. So it's very, very involved in that grand trine kite configuration. So we really should keep our eyes peeled and our thoughts as well to see what comes up during this full moon, because it could be very precious information. That Mercury is exact almost, it's the third degree, so it's exact almost, it's a few minutes of arc away from it, but it's an exact sextile. So they're kind of working together, that Saturn and that Mercury. They're like, there's a sense of understanding there between the two. So there's something about how we think. And because Taurus is such a concrete sign, that we could actually manifest things with our thoughts, right? Very powerfully. And with the signature of the full moon, making that even more amplified. Okay, so there's a sense of amplifying this grand trine, amplifying this process of healing that's kind of building up. It has been building up since last week, and it's kind of growing, intensifying, getting together, getting more together, and showing us things, right? It's sort of reflecting this ability to feel and this ability to see as well, and to see intellectually as well with the eyes of our minds. Um, to see what we need, what we want, what's important to us, what's important in our relationships, where are we failing to sustain and to create the connections that we want to create, where can we forgive, where can we let go of things, where can we build the stability that's necessary for our growth, for our expansion, for intimacy to develop as well, right? Water signs are related to intimacy as well, emotional intimacy. So all of those are kind of there in a mixture, right? And whenever we have a Libra Aries full moon, there is that, relationship focus is about being together and being alone. How can I be alone? And am I authentic enough to be alone when I haven't found someone that's really compatible with me? Or am I going from one relationship to another, to another, to another, and just getting involved because I can't really face myself on my own, because I don't feel I can survive on my own, because I don't feel I'm strong enough on my own, and so I feel that I need that support, which is the worst of Libra, right? And perhaps that Chiron could be pointing out to wounds on that regard, or is the other way around? Have I been overly alone and independent, and I'm not really considering others, opening a little space for another person to come into my life, right? To walk the path with me. So those are like going to become very, very important during this week. And you see that with that grand trine with the kite, that there's great potential there. There's great potential for really moving things, for really moving like stagnant energy, stagnant emotions, the iceberg that Scorpio represents, the things that have happened in the past and that we solidified, we don't want to let go of these ways or these beliefs or this, things. And also that is an interesting thing because the sun is between that Chiron and Jupiter. So the sun is moving from that wound and heading towards Jupiter, heading towards expansion and growth. So there's something interesting about that as well. This kind of a sandwich between Chiron and Jupiter as well there. And obviously the moon is opposing all of that. So that full moon is definitely something about all of this together and a combination and being able to see it so clearly. I think full moons are great for that. They usually feel very intense. And I think the reason to feel the intensity is exactly that, is a pointer. So rather than focusing too much on the side effects, which would be the intensity, the feelings, this frustration, the breakup, or this or that, really see that as a pointer to your process, to something else, to something that is bigger within the context of your life, the context of who you're becoming or who you want to become as well. What works in your life. It could be creative energy as well. It could be self-worth. A lot of it could be self-worth because the full moon is also ruled by that Venus. And it's very interesting because the sun in Aries, so the sun, Chiron, Jupiter in Aries are ruled by Mars. That Mars is in Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. Moon in Libra ruled by Venus. Venus is in Taurus in its own sign. So there's something there again, like because Venus is so powerful, that Venus is giving us a very precious um, clue. I feel that astrology is very much like detective work sometimes, that we go from one to the next, and we get these little tips there. So that Venus in Taurus is also giving us a great sense of, what else, like what's behind all of this? What is the last, the strongest planet there? Like, what can that be telling us? And that Venus in Taurus could be lessons around self-worth, perfect for doing your hair, investing in yourself, investing in your clothes, investing in your surroundings, bringing beauty into your life. Beauty can be extremely nourishing, especially with the moon in Libra there as well. Beauty is a need. Yeah, it goes beyond just a superfluous thing. So resources and money and security, but in that self-worth, feeling as well, feeling that you deserve. You're deserving of what you have. You're deserving of what you want to have as well. You're deserving of what you want to manifest and bring into your life as well. So those could also be some of the themes there. Venus rules that. Mercury rules the North Node, rules the Uranus as well, all in Taurus. So that Venus gives a very, very powerful clue. And the other aspect that Venus is forming here is a sextile to Neptune. Almost, it's a 1 degree orb at the time of the full moon. So again, that Venus sextile Neptune, a lot of creative energy, a lot of creative potential, and a lot of potential for forgiveness, for self-forgiveness, for going beyond, for moving beyond, which I think it feeds the idea of that kite, or grand trine in water as well, that I've been talking about. So very powerful full moon, very interesting full moon. Find out where is 16 degrees Libra, where is 16 degrees Aries in your chart, 24 degrees Taurus as well, where is that? Because that's definitely showing something important to you of your process of healing, of your process of growth and transformation there. And what do we want with astrology again? If you're following me here, there is a reason. Like, you didn't find me just as a coincidence, but what do we want with astrology? We want to take control of our lives, to direct these energies as much as we can and make the most of it. Make the most of it. Really bring in the best of what this could be representing right now. And so healing relationships, healing your sense of autonomy and the balance between the two, and self-worth, especially, that's a very, very big, powerful one for self-worth. And for forgiving, especially if your self-worth has something to do with family, with the past. Look at that South Node in Scorpio and that Mars in Cancer as well. Family, past, anger like from the past, and etc. It's a great time to do a little ritual and let go of it, and find out what are your individual values, not the values that have been passed on to you, not the values that you sort of stumbled across because of a trauma, because something went wrong in your life, so you decided you never trust someone, you never allow someone close, or whatever it is. This is a great time for you to reflect on it, to write down something, to do a little prayer, to do a little magic, to create a ritual, to paint a picture, to do something so you can transmute and bring a healthier, more creative way to relate with yourself and with others as well, right? So this is the main message here. And Friday, I'll be talking on Friday about Friday, so I'm not going to get into. I am going to stop my sharing. And again, I'm gonna wish you an amazing full moon, full of insights and beautiful realizations and etc. And again, hit subscribe if you like the channel. That would really be helpful to get the message across, to, so I can spread the word about constructive astrology here to other people as well. Yeah, give us a like as well if you like the video. And sorry if I'm a little bit slow. I don't feel great these days. I need a real rest after all of these travels. But let me know in the comments how these transits are transforming you, Where do you think these placements are going to be falling in your chart as well? And in the meantime, wish you a wonderful week, wonderful weekend, and a beautiful full moon as well. Until next week. Bye bye.